Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity with me, Bring It On. Finished exploring this place before we try to track down Thaos.
That's it!
I'm ready.
Sit!
Sure.
I knew that was going to happen.
That's unusual.
There we go. That's okay, because I'm willing to bet we can use this again. Fix ourselves right back up.
Sure.
Doesn't clear wounds, though. Which, honestly, camping shouldn't clear wounds either. I don't think taking a nap is going to fix bruised ribs.
Right.
Laying low.
Maybe a few naps, but not one.
I'm ready. Repel.
Alright, go take care of that guy. Get him off of Aloth if you don't mind. And...
On your side!
And Haravis would have had a field day in here with the greenstone staff. For the Animite requirement, anyway.
Margren's fire casts light in dark places.
Daybreak. Unique Morningstar, two-handed. Letting the +1 enemies engage is the default for the Morningstar. 25% chance to cast Destroy Spirits on hit or critical hit, and it's exceptional. Daybreak was a product of the careful engineering of an animancer from Solace Wael. Hoping to create a defense against the blights and phantoms that often plagued neighboring villages, he developed a Morningstar that was especially effective against such nightmarish beings. Unfortunately, he died before he could make more. Even though he'd had no involvement in the early experiments with Hollowborn, he was murdered by one of the many lynch mobs that formed after the appearance of the first Wicks. There's mob justice for you. Another Glenfathan Odriswin.
And what does the flame reveal?
The ancient Adra still bears the impression of the 1,000 souls broken upon it. Your soul burns with remembered suffering. Alright, looks like that's the entire area except for the path forward.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's rest up then and get those wounds off of Aloth.
So, it's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years.
Steady does it.
Okay, still have a whole dungeon ahead of us.
These ruins, like a great grave for a soul.
It's very dark down here.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
Okay, it might not be a full dungeon. Looks like it's railroading us towards the center. Or I could be wrong.
Full of surprises, aren't you?
Many spirits stir here, edged with anger, violence.
We light our own path now, Watcher.
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
Oh yeah. Speaking of diamonds, let's see if we can max out all of our equipment real quick. Oh darn. Alright, well I guess that's as good as it's gonna get.
Be cautious. Be constant.
Oh, boots of speed.
Hey,
Yeah, honestly, I think that Durance's staff should be a soulbound weapon. Just based on how tied it is to Durance's story. I do not appreciate how finicky these description points are to activate. Actually, you know what? He probably doesn't have to do that. Move over here. Durance. Go ahead and pop that. We'll have a dare. Try to intercept these guys for my back line.
Yeah.
My mind.
Alright, Shadow Drake showed up just to get stunned.
Mow it.
That's not very helpful.
My mind feels sharp. Pristine.
Okay, another resounding success for Donald and the gang. Chalky bits of bone break away between your fingers. Guardian's Dome. Oh.
Well, doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war?
People were starving. They'd have rebelled sooner or later.
I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded.
He looks down at the ground, drumming his fingers against his side restlessly. When he speaks again, it seems half to himself.
I don't know. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will.
His gaze remains low, distant. Eder's throat catches. He takes a slow breath. What about?
About him going off to war. He was set on it. But my parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your god, you only get the one.
Eder looks up at you.
Me? I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one.
Eder bites his lower lip.
I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his god one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field.
Eder is quiet for a moment. Do you think he went to Widewind because of what you'd said to him?
Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know.
Option 2 seems almost too aggressive. I'm gonna say it anyway. So if you left with him, you'd have known why he changed his mind.
If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it. I found my own way in the end, and it wasn't my brother's and it wasn't my god's. I don't know if it was right. But I couldn't abide what Widewind was doing to his own, god or not. I don't regret it. Whether Widewind was Aothis, well, it hardly seems to matter after what we just heard. And all these questions I've been trying to figure out. I think I just miss my brother.
He shakes his head. He smiles faintly, and when he breathes, the air seems to flow more freely through his lungs. Let's be on our way.
Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on, then. I still owe you one.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place.
Allah's face is twisted with fury and despair. I agree with option 3 to a certain point. That their actions may differ slightly due to their faith. At least on the surface. Maybe with option 3. What difference does it make? People will be what they are whether or not there are gods to believe in.
How can you say that after all we've seen? Even with the idea that the gods are watching us and directing our reincarnations, it's a miracle that we haven't all killed each other already.
His head jerks back.
I've also been thinking, there won't be much left of Thaos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate. That will leave the leaden key headless. Someone will need to fill that void. Someone who can clean up the mess that Thaos has made of it.
He looks back at you out of the corners of his eyes. One side of his mouth twitches in a grin. I don't like what the leaden key is doing. It seems to be stunning progress, specifically for Woedica at this point. I wonder if what we've done with this quest up to this point influences this decision. I'm not sure what to... At the same time, we'd have an ally at the head of a fairly powerful organization. Honestly, don't know. I feel like I don't know Aloth as well as some of my other companions. no, I'm gonna go against it. I think the leaden key, what it stands for, is wrong. And its roots are probably so corrupt at this point, regardless if he's installed as leader. Plus, he'd still be working towards canceling animancy from the shadows, and I don't think that's the correct path. So no, let it die.
After all this, the world will fall to pieces without someone in charge.
He waves his hand at the desolate prison around you. You didn't fall to pieces.
Then let's face Thaos. When this is all over, I'll make sure that no one is able to commit his abuses again.
Aloth nods once. So this reinforces my choice there. He's talking like he would have committed Thaos' abuses. So.
Huh?
Yeah, I think that's the right call. You're gonna oppose animancy, do it through the proper channels, and not like Thaos was doing. Which, again, the whole reason Leaden Key exists is for the supercharged Woedica and souls. That's interesting, because he was one of the gods we couldn't pray to. Him and Woedica. The shadows in the cavern suddenly lengthen and swallow you. When your eyes adjust to the darkness, you find yourself in the midst of what must be another vision. You're surrounded by mists. The ground feels springy under your feet. You imagine that, as soon as you take a step, the soil behind you will erase all trace of your passage. As if on cue, the mist before you clear just enough for you to take a couple steps forward. You do, and the fog closes behind you. You continue for several minutes in this manner, one step at a time, never seeing more than the ground right in front of you. Eventually, rays of light cut through the haze, and you find yourself facing a canyon wall. Terrence's head twitches, as though a mosquito had flown into his ear. He swings haphazardly at the air with his staff. Something whizzes past you. Just as you turn, you catch another whir of movement. Out of the mist flits a shape, small and round. You see another, and another. They tickle the corners of your vision. You turn back to the canyon wall. The sun shifts along its path, and what looked like a smooth rock face is the hollow of a cave. A figure steps out, its features shifting and changing before your eyes. The figure transforms from male to female, from Orlan to Moa, its bones lengthening and its fur receding into its flesh. The only detail that remains constant is a smooth, eyeless face. The whizzing, rushing shapes from the mist converge on the figure, and as they form a spinning cloud, you realize that they are eyes.
You are a creature of contradictions, by turns cruel and kind, rational and zealous. Your nature is buffeted by forces and whims that none can anticipate. You unravel a thread, Watcher, one you have lost and discovered over generations, and following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning.
The eyes track you even as they circle the god. Speak plainly. Wael giggles, a strangely modulated sound that rises and falls as the god shifts from one form to the next. And drain the meaning from the end you have almost achieved. Your search for answers to your past has led you to another mystery, and one grander still. Yeah, this is my initial intent, option 3, and I'm still here to do that. I mean, I'm still on board with this too. Stopping Woedica from taking over and setting the souls free. My character's pragmatic and, a little gold hungry. But he's not a bad guy, Yeah, I think this is a little too selfish. Which my character is. Yeah, my goal now is to see to the souls Thaos is trapped. Which is also true because I made a deal with Galawain, and Abaddon, and Magrin. Yes, but what would you do with them?
A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woedica's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them?
Changing from elf to folk, Wael raises its darkening hands to the swarm of eyes. Thunderclouds form overhead, casting shadows of movement across the canyon. I learned from Galawain, Mogren, and Abaddon that I can use them to fortify other souls in the Deerwood.
A mightier quarry for a more glorious battle. Yet the hunter takes the rack of antlers and the string of fangs for the memory of hunting the beast, tracking it through the wilds and grappling with it at last. Even the gods require fresh mysteries.
Wael folds its hands, grinning at you with Orlan's needle-sharp teeth. The clouds break and the torrent of rain washes Wael's features clean. His blank face molds itself again, taking on the shape of something you've never seen before. Do not consign the souls to the fate of some god's choosing. You have found them. Now scatter them across existence, their destination known to neither god nor mortal. Let them be lost again. New answers to new riddles. Behind him, the sudden downpours carve new caves into the canyon. What end would that serve?
No end, Watcher. That is the purpose.
But what would happen to the souls?
None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again and charting their course through the ether will be a new mystery.
This is interesting. I kind of like the whole railing against the gods concept, but I still feel like this in some way benefits Wael. This isn't him being benevolent. This is something else. At the same time, I don't want to cross Abaddon, who is grouped in with Galawain, because he seems like a pretty good god. He sacrificed himself to save people. Like, I think Abaddon and Hyleia are the two most benevolent gods. I wish I had this requirement met. I'm sure we can call him out on something. This does make me second guess my other decision, though. Farewell, Wael.
That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
The shifting face laughs. Shadows from the new caves melt and spread across the landscape, covering you in darkness. When the light returns, the vision is gone. Yeah, he benefits from that somehow. Okay, quick save here. I'm actually gonna keep all these folks back here.
I'm ready.
Hey.
And him in by himself.
My mind feels...
Bring your end.
That's not very...
Alright, just gotta finish this guy off real quick. Preferably before he gets back up. There we go. I do really like how when you select Groovy Mother, she doesn't say anything, it's just the chimes chiming. Those items just go and proceed forward. Wonder what happens if you just go forward without doing all these little shadow events. I'm not going to find out. I'm going to do all the shadow events, but... I think I'm going to call it here for now, and the next one will finish clearing out Sun and Shadow and go through this big door. I guess it's a regular-sized door, just this big wall. Either way, for now, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.